Hello guys, it's Renee Flamand again. In the last few weeks, I've made reference a couple of times to both trauma bond and cognitive dissonance. I thought it was time we reviewed both of these things. We have new people coming in all the time. Wednesday will be cognitive dissonance. A trauma bond keeps you stuck. And a trauma bond can absolutely 100% be more powerful than love. And let me explain to you what it is so that you understand. Because some people that I've had people say to me in both the audience and in private coaching that they just can't grasp what it means. It took me a minute also to grasp what it means. Trauma bond is when you become bonded to a person because they feed you a little bit of good and then they are bad to you. And then to bring you back over to liking them, they give you a little bit of good, and then boom, they devalue you. Because we know a narcissist will always go back to devalue. It's where they sit, it's where they reside, it's their go-to. When somebody knows that they can love bomb the bad feelings out of you, they will keep you on a hamster wheel of that's you're the hamster trying to work it out. I'm gonna stay in it. I'm gonna get that guy back. I'm gonna see that love bombing guy. He's in there. I know he's in there. You may even say that to your narcissist. I know the good guy's in there. Where did you go? Where's that guy who, whatever. You list the good thing he did or said to you. Well, they just devalued you and did something bad. They disrespected you. They were betrayed. They betrayed you. That's a traumatic event. And to lure you back in, say you're arguing about it, to lure you back in, they might say something like, well, there's no one on earth I would ever love but you. She meant nothing to me. She's not even pretty. She's ugly. I don't know what I did. That's what my narcissist told me about the supply that I bet he's still with, the girl after me, not the Boca one, but the one he ended up with that I talked to. He told me right out, she's like a man. We fight like a man, and I gotta treat her like a man, and she's bruta, and she's big, and you're dainty like a little tiny flower, and I love you. Okay, there's the good. So it makes me go like this. Let me physically do what happens inside of us when they do it. Okay. And you're listening. That's breadcrumbing you with goodness so that you come back over to it. Now, people often think, but why would they do that? Why don't they just let me go and go on and be with the new supply? Well, they might not be ready to let you go. You might be their wife, mother of their children. They might live with you. They might have their shoes parked at your house. Who knows why? They might not have decided they wanted to be with this person yet. The new person that they're courting might be married, might live with somebody else, might not be ready to receive them. They can't give up where they reside. My narcissist had nothing to his name, had no home. He was staying with me during COVID. Where was he going to go? When I did one of the discards I did, he went to his son's apartment on the couch. 62, 3-year-old man. That's what he had in his life. Had 0 on the planet. So you think he wanted to be discarded when he had nowhere to go? He had to make sure the new supply was locked down good and tight before, before he could allow himself to be discarded for good. And I kept discarding him, and I did up until the end. But the trauma bond came in. Why I danced for 2 years with this cat? The devalue would happen, and then Innie would come with the love bombing, whether it was the bright smile or the laughter or taking me out on the town or dancing up a storm or having fun. Because, I'm not saying you can't have fun with these people. You can have a night of laughter so hard that you're both healed over in laughter. You could have a night of dancing. You could have a night of a nice dinner. You can have a night of them telling you you're everything in the world and they're sorry. So they breadcrumb you with this little bit of goodness, and it creates a trauma bond. Because you're bonded waiting for the good. It's like an addiction. You need that good. You're waiting for that good. Why can't you just leave and go find good with somewhere else? Because they're the ones that love bombed you, and you want that guy again. You want that love bomber. You want that good 5% guy that you saw in the beginning. Okay? So once they do the bad, I'm pointing over here like this is a pile of bad. They do the bad, and then they're love bombing you to bring you back in. The bond is so strong with the breadcrumbing and bribing, the gifts can come. The bond is so strong that you're willing to forget, forgive, ignore, sweep under the carpet, accept the excuses, accept the reasons, listen, hear them out, believe they won't do it again. You're choosing to think you trust them again. You never will again. Never, ever. It's impossible to ever see your person the same way again if you're with a narcissist once they devalue you. It's impossible. Because you know deep down inside, this is why a trauma bond is so tricky, and this gets into cognitive dissonance, which is what Wednesday is going to be about. You know in your brain that this is bad, but they bonded you to them with the addiction that you feel, to the chemicals in your brain that they make you feel when they're throwing endorphins at you, your dopamine spikes. You get addicted to that. I made a video about that over 2 years ago. You really do. Those are real things. The dopamine and the endorphins and all of that, that's real. Those are chemical things that are going on in your brain when they're love bombing you. And during the trauma, during the fighting, during the betrayal, you're feeling cortisol, you're feeling adrenaline. These are real things too, real chemical reactions in your brain to which you are reacting, to which you can become addicted. And people don't like to hear that. I had somebody say, don't say that, I don't want to argue. I said that forever. Oh no, sir, I don't want to argue. Of course I didn't want to in my head, but I was very used to it. It's very comfortable to me to argue. I don't mind. The adrenaline, sure, you can get addicted to it. You can. And you can want to bestow upon anyone else in your life an arguing tendency if you're not getting it from someone else. So here you are, you're in this relationship with a narcissist, and you're getting everything from this one person. All these addictions are being fed. That creates a trauma bond that you cannot break from because you're addicted to the dopamine, the endorphins, and you're addicted to the bad stuff, the cortisol, the adrenaline. I encourage you to look at this and pick apart your relationship and say, is that happening to me? And you don't want to think that it is, because no one wants to think that they're bonded for something, anything other than love, right? But it definitely could be a trauma bond, because I look back, I never loved that guy. Not for 1 minute, ever. That's an impossible human being to love. There's nothing about him I even liked. He's disgusting. Yet I convinced myself I loved him. Loved him. Why did I convince myself I loved him? Because he convinced me I loved him by giving me the love bomb and having me addicted to these things in my brain, and then traumatic events over here making me addicted to these events in my brain. Even if you don't sense it, that's what's happening in a trauma bond. It's a very dangerous place to reside. I ask you, if you feel like you're stuck and can't get out, that's why. A trauma bond keeps you stuck more than love can keep you stuck. I've seen plenty of people break up with people and they're like, love isn't enough. I wanted children, he didn't. Love isn't enough. He wanted to live in Asia, I don't. Love isn't enough. His family hates me. I can't deal with that. Or love isn't enough. His father's ridiculous. I can't deal with his father. Whatever the case is, love is not the more powerful. Trauma bond will keep you stuck. I ask you to look at it, because if you find yourself trying to get out and you can't, it's because there's something conflicting going on and it's keeping you on that hamster wheel waiting to get the good back. Next video, we're going to talk about cognitive dissonance. Please tune in. It's very powerful as well.